Hi, I'm Megan Trezza. I'm the founder of La Jolla Learning Works, and I want to welcome you to La Jolla Learning Works for our ISEE test prep program. I want to congratulate you on taking a proactive step to help your child get prepared for the private school admissions process. You may or may not know what the whole admissions process entails, but it can be a bit daunting, and for students, balancing out their school commitments, extracurricular, and the applications and the testing, it really can get a little stressful for them. So thank you for taking that proactive step, and we look forward to being your partner and helping you and your child through this process to make it as easy and painless as possible and with the best outcome in the end for you guys. So let's talk a little bit about the ISEE test. So what I want you to understand, first of all, is that ISEE is different from school testing. So classroom tests and that annual test that they take at school are very different purposes and different formats than what the child will see on an ISEE. So I'll explain to you a little bit about why. The ISEE test has a really different purpose than school testing. ISEE is an admissions exam for private schools across the United States, and most of the applicants to the private schools are students coming from other private schools, which means high-performing students. So these are a very strong student group that are all taking this test. And for the purpose of the test for admissions, they need to see the students stratified across the bell curve from the 1st to the 99th percentile. So that means that you have to have a very rigorous test. So the format of the test itself is designed to see students, where only the top 4th percentile of students is going to be able to get a perfect score. Whereas in a classroom, all of the students can get a perfect score. So that is really different. And how they set up the test really, defines how they're able to get that stratification of students. So the test length, first of all, it's an endurance test. It is about 3 hours from start to finish. That includes 4 multiple choice sections: verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, reading comprehension, and a mathematics achievement that are all multiple choice bubble fill in. And then after that, the students have to do a free write, handwritten 30-minute essay. And so there's, 2 breaks throughout the test, but that's still a lot for students to do, especially the younger ones, to get used to that testing setting. The content in the test itself is also very rigorous. So thinking you have students across the nation who are in these really strong private schools now taking this test to apply for very strong private schools, the content has to go above grade level and above multiple grade levels. So there's going to be material on this test that your child has never seen before, and they have to get comfortable with that and be able to perform on as many questions as possible, but most students won't be able to address every question on the test. So there is also a difference in the way the questions are formatted. There's some different types of questions than what a child would see on a standardized test for school, specifically in the reasoning sections for verbal reasoning and quantitative reasoning. So it really does pay for students to gain some familiarity with the test, and just doing a practice test is going to help them to improve their score after they review it and go through and learn from their mistakes that they made. So I just want to tell you a little bit too about our testing process. So we do set up these diagnostic and practice tests so that students are in a good mock testing setting. So it's also the same length as a real test. We separate it out by the levels of the real test, and our tests are designed to match the format. Same 4 multiple choice sections in the same order, the 30-minute essay. We do give the breaks at the same time, so it is standardized to be as similar to an actual ISEE as possible. We offer both the paper and the computer test. If your child is going to be taking a computer test and you know that, please let us know and we'll give them a computer-based version of the test. We always default to the paper test because most of our students test on the paper format at our local private schools. We also will offer accommodations depending on what your child might be applying for on the test. So if you know your child has a learning disability or a handicap that will require them to have accommodations on the test, or you're considering applying for accommodations on the test, be sure to let us know. We can try those out for you, whether or not you've already gotten them approved through the testing organization. So we also do include a complimentary consultation with our director as a feedback session to review your child's performance on the ISEE and get some really specific tips on how your child can improve their performance to prepare for the ISEE and the applications in general for that whole admissions process. So at your consultation with our director, you're going to get a score report that is going to give you some estimated stay-9 scores. And that's basically the way ISEE gives scores, is it's a breakdown of percentile rank into clusters that they call stay-9. So instead of going from 1st to 99th percentile, it goes from 1 to 9 and breaks them up into little bands. So we'll give you an estimate. It's not 100% accurate to what the actual ISEE scores would be because it's a different testing population. Ours is based on the population of students taking practice tests through our third-party testing vendor. And you will also get some personalized feedback from us. So we take time to analyze your students' performance and think about their pacing, the work that they showed, whether or not they showed work for the questions, and just to kind of get a feel for how they felt during the testing time, if they were nervous, if they were distracted, however that impacted their performance, so that we can take note of those factors and put that into their prep plan so they can learn to overcome those challenges. But we also want to put that into the context of your child's background and their goals. So we'll talk to you a little bit about their educational history and also the schools you'll be applying to, and how you're feeling about the whole private school admissions process. And then we will also discuss with you a personalized test preparation plan for your child. So that can include talking about test dates and the format of the test, whether or not you'd want accommodations, if that was something as a question. And we can also then work with you in our one-on-one sessions, which is what we specialize in at La Jolla Learning Works, for either Carmel Valley, La Jolla, or Mission Valley offices. And we also do a couple group classes at some of the local private schools. So if that's offered at your school, we can help you get set up with the class as well, or a combination of one-on-one and class support. We also offer some winter break intensives. We do some work on application essays. We can do some help with preparing for the interview. And we also do intensive test prep sessions where students can do a couple of practice tests and get feedback and review and learn from their mistakes. So be sure to talk to us about that as well. If you're doing the one-on-one or the group work, we'll talk to you about solidifying dates and just making sure everything's on the calendar between your diagnostic testing and your actual test date. And so lastly, just want to give you some tips for the actual testing day. So to prepare your child to have their optimal performance, even though it is a practice test, same as an actual test, we want them to make sure they get a good night's sleep the night before, so they come in well rested. Again, make sure they have a good breakfast, avoid sugars, keep the protein and a good carb in there so that they have good energy for this endurance exercise of the ISEE test. Pack a healthy snack. They will have that break to take, bathroom, water break, and have a snack. And then remind them there's no calculators on the test, so they're prepared to show work on the math sections. And then as far as mindset, just talk to them a little bit about the test, give them some idea of what they're doing, what the purposes of the test, and encourage them to really take it seriously and put forth their best effort as if it's a real test. That way we'll get the best information about what their ability is to perform on that test and where they need to go with support. And lastly, just a reminder about accommodations. If you are considering accommodations for your child, you haven't already talked to us about it, just make sure you do contact our office in advance so we can set you up with that. So I'd like to wish your child a really successful ISEE prep experience, and I hope that it is smooth and easy for you as well. And we look forward to meeting you in our office soon for your consultation. Thank you so much.